gonna go on mute. Go.
Does everyone understand the process of breathing? Taking in O2, expanding the chest cavity, then contracting the carbon that's been diluted through your body's natural filter. On the count of three, let's inhale together. One, two, three, inhale. They tell me to breathe life into this poem. Make it come alive, put everything inside my body onto the page. Don't be afraid to be honest. And honestly, I'm not really sure what that means. Come alive when I can't even process the constant battle of circling around the air in my chest. So now I'm known as a shit talker. Voids boxed into categories. This type of oxygen be fire bending. Burning the idea of conversation norms, creating smoke screens. How am I supposed to breathe when the air in the room is not made for me? Bubble baby, I inadvertently made myself an outcast. Breathing has always been difficult. Exhale. I remember the first time I had an asthma attack. My body fought me. It threw its dukes up and said that we need a break from breathing. My lungs dropped to my hips. I lost my sight. My knees buckled that day, and let's just say I haven't really stood upright since until I made poetry my lungs. But now my lungs are collapsing. I don't know CPR. I can't predict reaction. Inhale. How do I make this poem come alive for you when you're already dead inside? Nor are you looking to get back in touch with who you are. Rather breathe in smog than take in the truth dead in front of you, all around you. Exhale. Say this poem should be heavy. But I don't like heavy breathing. I get winded. I feel faint. My pipes seem rusty. These hard gulps to remind me of that time that I almost drowned in Somerville Lake. How do I make this poem breathe when I'm down on bended knee? My back is cracked, esophagus pressed to the back. I'm gasping for your understanding. I'm gasping for the parallel vertical airs of my larynx to finally be open. I'm gasping for air. Inhale. Everybody wants to talk about breathing life, but never check to see if the oxygen levels are right. Is the amount of carbon compatible? What if I want to breathe death into my poems? Let every poem mean the funeral of a broken habit. Pull away from the shock, say defibrillator, and let my heart fade out like my favorite song until finally, I'll be able to exhale peacefully. On the count of three. One, two, three. Exhale.
All right, we're gonna keep this running. Here we go. On the ones and twos, this is DJ Torch, MC Cyber Dreams in the house.
And the pot calls the kettle black, calls the kettle burnt, calls her mad. Kettle reminds the pot that we both been burned on the same stove, that the parts of our bodies that are layered in soot were scorched by the same hands. Kettle tells pot that she still boils water, holds the hot breath of a white man's tongue, endures the slow simmer of a white woman's allyship, and still we make something beautiful. Pop calls the kettle wicked, and kettle says no, but says she's so magical she burned the hand of the last man who tried to pour himself a piece of her. Says she's so black, she is everything. So black, she is the beginning. She is the first thing someone finds home in when they wake up in the morning. Says, ain't that what it means to be black? To have the world go up in flames around you and still be sanctuary for someone, saving men who lost themselves the night before, saving men who curse our names but forget his mama is made of steel too. And now the pot has no words but calls the kettle bitter, that loves the glass pan, the fine china, loves all the exotic shit white men put behind glass casings, loves how fragile things not made of steel can be. But this isn't about the pot or the pan. This is about the kettle, the black woman, how she pours herself across the earth, but no one bats an eye when the water disappears. We give ourselves to men who never love us, but they say we are difficult, too hard to break. How we, the kettle, praise this pot, this man for all the water he holds. How we are the only ones who do not call him monster when the water boils over, because we know this heat, this white flame, hot enough to make any of us explode. We are the first ones to make noise when the world goes up in flames, but they say the earth was saved by the man who heard her scream. Pot calls the kettle black, and kettle says yes, but says you best remember you black too. The next time they bring a fire to your neck, they burn black bodies on the stake and the stove. Pot calls the kettle black, and kettle says, bitch, I might be. Says, knock if you buck, then says, wipe me down. Kettle says, yes, my nigga, I be black, I be mad, and I boiled the last man down to his bones when he tried to test me. Pot calls the kettle black, and kettle says, hell yes. But don't say my name as if you ain't ever been burnt too.
Hear me out. I have a very controversial thought, and a lot of people gonna come for me, call me and pick me like, okay, whatever. If more women were to be introduced to a brick to the face whenever they act out of pocket, less women will act out of pocket.
What?
If more women were to be introduced to a brick to the face whenever they act out of pocket, less women will act out of pocket.
Get your food! If you say one more thing, I'm gonna knock you out. Oh my God, I said one more thing, I'm gonna knock you out.
If more women were to be introduced to a brick to the face whenever they act out of pocket, less women will act out of pocket.
We are going to begin this evening with a vicious attack that again raises questions about the criminal justice system.
If more women were to be introduced to a brick to the face whenever they act out of pocket, less women will act out of pocket. But because we know that we are covered by this societal norm that men shouldn't hit women, we feel as though we can provoke men. We can talk any kind of way. We can throw things at men. Look at Brittany Renner the other day, y'all. If this whole societal norm that men shouldn't hit women weren't around, and Brittany had thrown that water on the guy and she knew the consequences of that would have been a nice solid brick or fist to the face, I bet she wouldn't do it.
6:14 now. New disturbing details emerging this morning in the deadly shooting of a woman who police say was killed by a former University of Alabama basketball player.
If more women were to be introduced to a brick to the face whenever they act out of pocket, less women will act out of pocket.
Mother, DeCarla Cotton, a man approached her daughter and started flirting with her at the restaurant. Harris declined his advances, causing an altercation. Cotton says as her daughter and her boyfriend were leaving, a man shot multiple times into their vehicle. Harris's boyfriend fired back in defense. Authorities say Miles, along with the second suspect, are both charged with capital murder.
But we walk around protected, so we can be unruly, we can be uncivilized. But if more men were supposed to say, you know what, forget that, fist for fist. If you hit me, expect this fist or brick.
Who does she mean by protected by? You know, I'm under the impression that every human being has the right to public safety. Public safety isn't just a woman thing. Let's do a vote. We have 11 people here. Let's do a vote real quick. Put a 4 in the chat if you believe that public safety governs both sexes, male and female. Put a 4 in the chat. Shout out to Scott, first 4. Now, she's in a country in America where there is a constitution of freedom of speech. I wonder, can she say the same sentiments in her country, where it's riddled with crime? So the question is, again, is public safety for both sex or just for women? Put a 4 in the chat if you agree that public safety is for every human being on earth, especially in America. So to me, either she's uninformed or she's messy and trying to stir up something. There was this guy in New York who didn't have a permit to do something, and he got in trouble because he was charged with inciting a riot. I will put this woman and her comments in the same category as that young man in New York. And then they always come with these urban terminologies out of pocket. People who are into public safety and the order of things in the society don't speak this way. The urban terminologies is basically, excuse my French, but bullshit. And because she's unaware of her followers, which I could assume are predominantly male, she doesn't understand their pathology.
Some black people were offended by that. This is why I think people are just mentally ill that are pushing the racist thing. The myth of racism in America is a complete lie. Do you know the kid that's yelling, "Get back to the projects," is paying to watch a game essentially where the kids that he's talking about are on full scholarship?
Bad faith actor and noted grifter Officer Brandon Tatum gave his take on this.
You guys are all back
The video of Alabama fans espousing racial slurs and bigotry at Texas players.
Going back to the kid yelling at the black kids. He sounded like a white guy. He was off camera, but he sounded white. And then he was yelling at these black kids. He yelling at a person that got more privilege than he do.
Nonsense. And his fans despised it thus.
Now I have to respond. People are criticizing me for my take on the Alabama fans yelling at the Texas players.
For yelling racist and homophobic slurs at the players. And people are criticizing you because your take was horrible.
When he uploaded a second video, Coach D Speaks fact-checked him.
You know, I just can't stand people with their victim mentality.
Calling out racism is not a victim mentality. That is the racist right-wing talking point to try and keep us from calling out racism.
And he would run circles around Tatum.
It's called talking trash. They want to say anything they can to offend the players on the field.
So as long as they qualify it as talking trash, anything goes. They can say anything they want. It's just talking trash. Come on, dude. You cannot be this ignorant.
Allow me to interject. He is this ignorant by design. He knows how much being ignorant has benefited him, not just for clout, but also personal gain.
How are they fans of the Alabama football team when every player on the Alabama football team is black?
Dude, this is literally the I have a black friend argument. Just like Republicans expect you to stay in place, those fans expect those black athletes to stay in place. And the second they don't feel like they do, they show their just like the people in your comments do when you step out of place.
It's called banter, ladies and gentlemen.
Get this man a hat, a cane, and blackface and call it a day because there ain't nobody tap dancing like him. Period.
Whenever I see Officer Tatum on the TL, I automatically, by default, think of this clip from Roland Martin's show.
Trust me, the white conservatives are sitting there loving it. See, if you want to know how to game, just go to Brandon's YouTube channel. His videos, they show you'll see. Give it that money. Give it that money.
Yeah.
Give it that money. And that's what I'm trying to explain to people when we expose these folks for who they are. Okay? I know a whole bunch of black conservatives who are third and fourth and fifth generation black Republicans. These folks are Trump grifters.
Martin, earlier in the segment, showed this clip that we simply cannot play because of all the cuss words. It showed Tatum disagreeing with his fellow conservatives on how he covered Ahmaud Arbery's killing by white police officers. He would call his co-hosts fake and threaten to beat the blank out of them when they are in person. He would then quit the call. Martin would add of Tatum,
very close with Candace Owens, used to work with Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk, loves himself some Donald Trump.
Another example, when MAGA pastor Greg Locke said he didn't want a single Democrat in his church, this is what happened.
Nothing about standing up for truth. Now, do I agree, and I'm going to play the clip here in a second, do I agree with everything that Pastor Locke said? I think that what he said was exaggerated, in my opinion. However, I understand where he's coming from. Do I think you cannot...
Oh, yes, he's exaggerating, guys. No biggie, you know? But he understands where he's coming from. Yeah, if you literally vote a way in which I do not agree with, then you must leave my church, which is tax exempt. And also, I think you are a demon. That is certainly what I call a little exaggerated. Yep, Are you forgetting also that, like, not every Democrat is the same as, like, your terminally online, far left, woke scold, cancel culture, Antifa member?
And was fact-checked by Hunter Avalon as well.
Put it all for Democrats to be a Christian. It really depends, right? I mean, you're talking about national elections or you're talking about local elections. If in a local election, a Democrat is a Christian and not pushing the LGBTQ stuff and all of those crazy stuff that's counterproductive to Christianity, then you can vote for that Democrat. But
look, he somehow managed to bring LGBT stuff into it. What do you know? So wait, you're fine with them teaching politics as far as if you vote a certain way, you have to leave, but you're not fine with them teaching other aspects of politics, like some people are different than you and you should be loving and respectful of people that are different than you, which is literally a Christian value.
I beg you, I implore you, watch this video.
If you look at the majority of the Democrat legislation or legislators, the House and Senate, if you look at what the Democrats are pushing, they are pushing anti-God rhetoric.
Like,
anti-God rhetoric. Abortion.
Wait, why would you say legislation and then say anti-God rhetoric?
This
is what I mean. Is like, what do you think is worse?
Remember the early church crusades? How they went around and was unaliving people on the base of Christianity and the Bible. These Bible thumping people are the same way. just evolved. Because without the essence of control, what do these people have when they're on the bottom of the totem pole? These aren't men in the world that are controlling the 90%. They're with us. So they get on these platforms to covet control at any means or any way possible. They're dangerous. Now, how long this guy been talking before he showed himself? A couple of years? I heard a guy say that if you let them talk long enough, they're going to tell you who they are.
I'm back with another triggering topic. You know what? I just want to show y'all a quick clip and then I'll be right back.
I wasn't getting chicks at 7.
Because you wasn't built like me.
You built different.
I'm built different, you know? You know, me and my sisters built different. I don't know about you and mama. I can get chicks at 7.
You can get chicks at 7.
I can get chicks at 7.
You look like you are dead serious right now. You look like you're really serious.
Now, I know for the majority of the Black community, especially the Black men, they probably don't see anything wrong with this clip. They would just say, oh, that's great. That's an active Black father who is in his son's life, but they need to look deeper because you have a father who is teaching his young son, first of all, that one woman or one girl is not enough. Because if you notice, he said, get chicks, plural. Now, the little boy is now thinking that collecting girls is the thing to do, which can cause his son to have an unhealthy outlook towards relationships and problems with commitment or fidelity. The fact that he is also being, in my opinion, included in adult matters and borderline being sexualized at age 7 is a concern for me. As a 7-year-old little boy, you should only be concerned about things that are for little kids. Talking about you're built different. And that's what's crazy is that he's just simply mirroring behavior that he's seen the adults around him display. And I wish that there were more Black men that would tell their young Black sons, it's okay to have one girl. It's okay to have one woman. You don't have to be a ladies' man or break hearts and jade the women that are in your community. I also wish that the men in our community wouldn't push girls or things of a sexual nature onto their underage sons. Frankly, it's disgusting, and it's a real problem in the Black community. Look at Boosie trying to have women do X things to his underage sons or Blueface.
They're not pushing economics. They're not pushing social constructs. They're not pushing anything that matters in the real world. But then they want to turn around and say, oh, his mama raised him. Oh, his mother is the reason for this and that. This is a classic evidence of when they are in the home. So am I right about, is that his son, 2 Chainz's son? Or that's some other guy's son? This is quite disturbing. Look at him smiling, and he's very impressed.
Him if he's gay because he doesn't react the way that he expected. Just because these are little boys and not little girls, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be concerned. We have got to stop fathers from doing these type of things. It causes dysfunction. It causes dysfunctional adult males that then go out into the
But let them say it. It's the women's fault. They don't have good male role models. They don't have a man in the house. Now, I want to know, like, what chicks is he talking about? What age bracket is he talking about?
The world and emotionally harm your daughters. And I really don't understand why men feel like it's okay to over actualize their sons, or why it seems as if they are completely ignorant to the harm that it causes their sons. But you know what? I didn't really plan on getting into this conversation or topic this deeply. I mean, I can later on if y'all want me to, but I just wanted to bring attention to this because I didn't see anyone talking about it. So if you watch this whole video, please drop a 9 in the comments. And if you can't donate to my Cash App above, that's no problem at all. Just do me a free favor and subscribe to my YouTube and my TikTok. And as always, drop your thoughts, comments, and feelings down below.
Solved by
Wolf. Hello.
What's up, Melly? Oh shit, Wolf in this
Oh,
thing.
shit.
Hey, you said you bring the good ones. Where they at?
I'm back with
and hate and aggression and violence. And so we are talking about real hate from men to women, aren't we?
Yeah, and those references to Plato and Adam and Eve are absolutely right, because once again, the problem of misogyny cannot be solved by looking at it as a cultural issue or something you can legislate against, although there urgently needs to be legislation to stop men being misogynistic and conducting the hate crimes that they do. But it is a psychological problem, Chrissy, and it is a mental health issue. And once again, because the pharmaceutical industry don't have a drug that can cure us of misogyny, it doesn't appear anywhere in psychiatric manuals, but it is a disorder because it is a state of mind, specifically in the male brain, that feels a need to terrorize women, to humiliate women, because actually, when you strip away all the machismo of the male persona, when you strip away all this bravado and posturing that men do, they are very scared brains inside the male skull. And this is something that needs to be understood without trying to shame men, by the way. This is not an occasion to simply attack men. What we need to do is try and ask ourselves, where is the problem of misogyny located? And it is clearly not in the law. It is clearly not in culture. It is somewhere in the human brain. This need from men to attack women in this way, which indicates that actually the fundamental root of this is men are terrified by women.
So they are
And
emasculated.
what's crazy
Are they
is
by
that for the small percentage of men who gets away or who ascend away from this type of behavior, they're called simps. The good men who treat their daughters good or treat their spouses good are called simps. So I bear the question, can we survive if this climate gets worse? If we don't, he said something about legislation, that we're talking about that behind the wall. If we don't get that, if we don't get protection, if we don't separate, can we survive as good women or women period, and you small percentage of men, can we actually survive in this climate? Because it's not going to get easier. It's going to get worse.
women? That's what we do to them.
It isn't what women do to men. It is something more fundamental than that, Chrissy. So around 15 years ago, I went to a seminar up in London at a Lacanian centre. And somebody called Jean-Jacques Bernstein from Paris came over. And he was talking about Lacan's idea from Freud that men think of themselves through their genitals, okay, which is the penis and the phallus. And so men actually think like that. And Bernstein made this incredible comment, and he said,
What happened? It froze. I encourage you all to go look at some of the Plato's writings. You know. Also, go look at the Machiavelli, not Tupac, the other one, the original one. Look at some of his stuff too. So put a
That's
7 in the
why
chat
men are
if you think that
dickheads.
we're going to be able to survive if this type of climate gets worse. Because we know it's 4.6. We know that every hour a male is unalived. We know that the crime is on the rise. And it's all stems from the male's brain. This is what this guy is saying. I'm not saying it. So put a 7 in the chat if you think in 10 years we'll be able to survive if it get worse. Put a 1 if you think we won't survive. And then after that, where do we go? The counter number, Benji, is 1. 7 if you think we're not going to be able to survive, and 1 that we're going to make it through. So the question is, how do we make it through? Because we got 7-year-old boys out here talking greasy. Darnell put a 2. or this is just affecting the Black community. From his stance, this is a global issue. Got some 1s. So they think we're going to be able to make
now,
it, Torch.
I took that away.
Yeah, Doomsday is 7. 1 for you think that we're going to make it through.
As something way more profound than men being dickheads. What it told me was that women can give birth to children. Men will never do that. Women have a relationship with the earth and with cooking in their stereotypes. Men rarely do. Men don't have a fundamental relationship with life. They have short, shriveled phalluses for most of the time. They can't experience sexual pleasure like women can. They are inferior. They can't give birth to a child. They don't know what giving birth to life means. Men, psychologically and biologically, do not have a relationship with life. That's why they are terrified of women. It's not about emasculation. It's about the fundamental biological, psychological makeup of men. They are terrified. They are inferior species.
Okay,
The thing is, there.
So what is life? Let me see. I'm asking the chat. What do you think life is? Try to make it simple. What is life? As you know it now. From all your experiences, what is life? Because this man said that they don't have a relationship with life. Life is living. Life is, to me, is progression, productivity. Life is pleasure. Life is excitement. Life is growth. So what is life? What about you, Darnell? What is life?
I think of life as nothing more than a mere state of consciousness or being. So that's my opinion.
Well, try to keep it on a natural plane. Let's stay in the natural plane first before we get into the metaphysics. Let's stay naturally with that context. What is life?
Can you elaborate the question a little bit for me, please?
So you went into the mind of it. I want
Yeah.
you to just stay on the natural plane and give me the natural plane of things. Give me your synopsis of life. What is life to you?
I would say life is about building, building healthy relationships, and building wealth, as far as humans go, building wealth.
Now, Benji said life, all your biological functions are active. And taking that and comparing it to the question, what would you say life is then?
I wouldn't know. I couldn't. I'm more of a what you call it, I'm more of a practical or not practical, but man, what would you call it? Literal. I'm more of a literal person, so I lack imagination.
What is life in the natural state for men and women? Because this man, he's a psychiatrist and a therapist, professional in his field. He said men do not have a relationship with life. So I'm asking the chat and the women and the men in the chat, then what is life?
Well, I gave my answer on that earlier, but I know that's not the one you're looking for, but I would say actually I can't even answer that, ma'am.
I'm gonna highlight this one. So you if you can't answer, then maybe you should go. Maybe what he's saying is about you then.
Well, I mean, like I just have a different definition. Like to me, again, I'm more literal. Like when you say what is the definition of life? To me, it's just a state of consciousness.
So Chica said growth, ambition, seeking knowledge, connection, community, love, joy, and peace. Now this guy said men do not have a relationship with life. So let's put it in her words. Men don't have a relationship in growth. They don't have a relationship in ambition. They don't have a relationship in seeking knowledge. No relationship in connection, nor community, love, joy, and peace.
I have to disagree with that. I mean, we do, we do seek growth. We do have ambition. As far as seeking knowledge goes, I think, knowledge is something that we all seek throughout our lives. Like I've done the best I could. I got tired of paying repairmen, overpriced money. So I have the knowledge, or I seek the knowledge to do my own repairs, for example. I can't speak for every man, but
would you agree that seeking knowledge is for individual self-improvement?
Yeah, but you have to define what is seeking knowledge. To me, I think there's this misconception that you have to have a college degree for knowledge, and that's just not the case. You just got to learn how to do things.
I think that's where we disconnect. Most people don't know what life is. Then the average person don't know what life is, the essence of life.
Perhaps.
And it gets worse in the male's mind. This is what this man is saying, not me.
Yeah.
Keep playing. You can go ahead and keep playing it. The chat. Spro said nonsense. Come up, Spro. Because that's a very important. I think that's the root of it right there. What you think, Torch?
May I answer Prism's question?
Go ahead.
What does life mean to you? What is your purpose in life? I'll be honest with you. To me, life is, simply put, is to be the best person I can be, and honestly, is to reproduce. That's the purpose of life. No matter what living thing you are, whether you're a human being or the lowest, even an amoeba, a single cell organism known as an amoeba. Our purpose is just simply put to reproduce.
I'm gonna say something else too. So life can it be chemistry within humans, the earth, the animals, atoms and protons? Could that be the essence of life? The chemistry of everything, every living organism working in conjunction with each other?
No, ma'am. And I say that because as far as chemistry, well, when it comes to human beings, as far as chemistry, it just chemistry dies off over the course of time. It's known to die off over the course of time. Like, for example, I could be madly in love with a woman. Over the course of time, I'll fall out of love with her, or she could be in love with me, and over the course of time, she falls out of love with me.
Okay, Prism said, let me show it. I don't know if you were here, Prism, but the guy that's on the video, he said that the males don't have a relationship with life. So I'm asking, what is life? If we take away the experiences, we take away, and what is the foundation of life?
The foundation of life is, again, it's simply put, is really to reproduce. That's really it.
It has nothing to do with peace and.
No, even in the animal kingdom, what does the lion do to the gazelle? It hunts it, stalks it, kills it, eats it.
That's like nourishment. Like we understand that the lion has to go hunt, but when he comes back, that pride has to have peace. If you look at gorillas and if you look at the wild dogs in Africa, you have to have some type of peace and government within the animals as well. When they go out, and we understand that they're carnivores, that's just the natural way that they get food.
Okay.
I'm not going there. I'm trying to stay in the beginning of it. What is life? Because this man on the video said that males inherently do not have a relationship with life. So I posed a question. Then what is life?
Well, again, I disagree. So let's take lions out of the equation. Let's go to mooses or male deer, for example. What do? They battle, when they see a female, right? They battle each other, for the female to show who is the strongest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just one of those things that,
but that's a mating activity that they do.
Well, mating, hunting,
so
but
before they do that mating activity, what are they doing?
Usually foraging. If you're a deer or a moose, you're foraging usually. And then mating season comes along, and you have to prove how macho you are. As a male, you have to prove how macho you are so you can get the best female, and that way you can try to reproduce with the female with the best genes. You get your pick of the litter.
Let's look what Chica say. She's saying some good stuff. I think an important aspect of life or living means to positively contribute to society.
I just think that's because we're simply put, because as far as, like, I believe people were nothing more than animals, but we're just more intelligent is all it is. we have a higher sense of intelligence. We have communication, language. We can build things.
Well, even animals have a sense of what's the word for it? Society, like even within the animal kingdom, they have a society standard within their kingdom.
True, but they can't build skyscrapers. They can't build planes.
I understand that.
Yeah. So, like I said, but again, my opinion, human beings, we're nothing more than animals. We're the exact same.
Okay, so what she say? Let me highlight what she said. She said peace. I think that's what's not being said is that the male mind is arrested in survival mode. Hey, Torch, can you play like 30 seconds? I don't think Darnell was here to hear the guy on the video speak.
No, I heard him. I had my headphones on.
Oh, okay.
There are lots of grades of misogyny, it seems to me, and we will look in a minute at what happens in the case of rapes and killings, which are truly terrible in society, and I think everybody agrees. But on a lesser level, I think having worked in an industry where it was perfectly normal to go around pinching a girl's bottom or make comments about how she looked or grope her. And I do remember an occasion when I was reading the news on radio, and there was a panel between us, a glass panel, and the man dropped his trousers, and just to see if I'd go on reading the news.
Show what
Did I
Benji
go and
said.
complain? Did I take?
Judging by how we treat each other and the earth, it could be argued if we are indeed more intelligent than animals. So by me reading that, I'm gonna ask Benji, have we gotten away from the essence of life then? Have humans walked away from the principles of life?
All right, you're asking me, or you're asking
Benji?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You said pretty much. See, and I kind of agree with Sharira Smith. She said, because I'm trying to keep it within the human family, and the nerd, you're jumping to animals. I'm going to highlight her comment so you can see it.
Okay.
She says, I have to disagree on the comment about animals. Animals only take what they need.
That's not true. I'm sorry, Shariah Smith. Ma'am, have you ever had like multiple dogs, and you try to feed them both I'll try to feed them both like salami or whatever deli meat I got or whatever every now and then as a treat. And I kind of noticed, like, I got plenty of salami or ham, whatever I got. And I kind of noticed, like, they will fight each other. They'll think, like, that's the only piece of salami or ham. And even though they could see it both, they would fight each other, they'd growl and nip at each other, fighting over that one piece, even though I got multiple pieces. God only gave me two hands, so, I got to.
I'm confused, Darnell.
What do you mean? How am I confusing you?
I don't understand what are you talking about.
What I'm talking about is, like I said, basically when I had these two dogs, for example, okay, like I said, it was just one of those things. Her comment mentioned about they only take what they need. No, like a dog, if you leave food around a dog, it will gourd itself. It will just keep eating and eating and eating.
They have a need to eat, though. Animals have a need to eat. They don't have the intelligence to say, okay, I'm full.
You might have already fed it. It might already be full, but it sees food and it just goes crazy.
Because they have a natural need to eat. They're animals.
But correct. But in the end, they wind up, some of them gourd them. Animals have been known to gourd themselves to death, or dogs specifically have been known to gourd themselves to death.
Are your dogs trained?
My mother's dog is pretty trained. He can almost open. He knows the concept of opening doors.
So he made a comment saying to what you said about the two dogs with the salami. That's because they're fighting for dominance. Do you agree or disagree?
Well, they were both female. One was the mother, the other was the daughter.
They still can fight over dominance, right? They're animals.
I mean, I kind of find that weird. I mean, a mother fighting its daughter for dominance.
You ever studied the wild dogs in Africa? You ever studied them?
No.
You should. Okay, keep going, Torch. We don't want to stay on this too long.
Into a tribunal? No, because I needed the job. So are we not making all too much fuss of the slightly lesser grades of misogyny?
The microaggressions that you're talking about are quite tragic, and it's actually quite painful to hear you saying, I needed a job. Okay, that's hideous that women have to put up with this kind of behavior, not just because they need a job, but actually because society tells them, oh, this is so funny, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, let's reverse the situation. If men found that foul, repulsive women came up to them and pinched their bottoms and made leering comments and groped their penises inside their trousers, do you honestly think, Chrissy, that men are going to sit there and go, this is so funny, I won't complain, I just need to do that for my job? No, men would probably physically slap the woman back. They would be angered and outraged. Imagine a woman saying to a man, you men, you have small penises most of the time. Do you think a man would find that funny? No. He would find it a deep insult because it strikes at the root of his inferiority. Now, why is it that men don't have to tolerate that kind of abuse? Why is that not a social norm? But it's okay for women to be subject to that kind of constant abuse and harassment. It's in the newspapers, Chrissy. It's constant.
It's
There's body shaming that goes on with women.
Yes. And of course, there are, even this week I was reading about some quite well-known man who was said to be a bit hamsy. This is the new word.
So I'm going to ask the chat, yes or no? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Do you agree that the world is dominated by males? Yes or no? 1 for yes, 2 for no. And then I'm going to come with the second one.
You said 1 is yes, right?
Yes. Globally, universally. Are we living in a male-dominant world? So if that's the case, my second question would be, if they are dominant, what is the need and the urge for more dominance? And in that dominance, the extra becomes abuse. What is the need for the extra dominance? Darnell, do you know why?
I don't believe there is a need for the extra dominance. It's just, yes, ma'am. I'm 100% confident. The only reason I even said 1 is that why men dominate, because like you look outside of Western countries, the world is bigger than just Western countries, right? And in other countries such as I've been to the Middle East, multiple countries in the Middle East, and it's male dominated. You go to Africa, majority of it male dominated. Yeah.
The world. The original question was: do you believe that the world, universal and globally, is dominated by men?
Yes.
So
yes.
My second question is: what is the need for more dominance then?
I don't see the need for more dominance.
We see evidence of this every day in the news clips and the male's behavior.
You're talking about males competing?
No, the need for more dominance.
Right, males competing for dominance, right? Like who's the alpha male, who's the beta male?
Men already have it.
Okay, so it's a sex thing. It's men versus women.
It could be either or. Men versus other men. men versus children, men versus animals, men versus peace in society, men versus anything. See,
Well, I'm
okay,
sorry. Go ahead.
when you say competing, let's think about it in sport terms. When you
Okay.
compete, right, the best person is winning, right?
Yes.
After the person lose, you go by your way, right?
For the most part, yeah.
So
I mean, you shake hands after a
these
game.
men that are competing, their extra dominance, I would say, would be crime. They're competing for what? To live and other men not live?
Well, using your analogy of sports, I wouldn't say to not live. It's more or less it's bragging rights, records. You know what I'm saying? Like football, for example. Like you may actually Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys, he's notorious for this. And he always shoots himself in the foot, but he's notorious for trying to run up the scoreboard. He's already got a 20-point. He was notorious for having 20-point lead, and he's still throwing the football, trying to run up the scoreboard. You know, just out of spite.
So let me ask you this, Darnell. How do the black men compete in the world?
How do black men compete in the world? In my opinion, it's more, I would say, physical dominance, or trying to exert physical dominance, I should say.
They already have that, though.
Not exactly.
Men are stronger. You are the stronger human on the earth. So this is my original question. If men dominate inherently already, what is the urge and the need for more dominance?
Well, you also said it could be anything against other men, for example. Like when it comes to white men, unfortunately, we are not dominant against white men. We're not dominant. I mean, we're taller and bigger than Asian men, but when it comes to resources, you know, we're at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to resources.
Well, then I bring up the white men. They became dominant. What was their need to dominate their women and subjugate their women in the laws that they passed? This is why they had the women's suffrage movement in the 1800s. This is the question. If they already are dominant, what is the urge for more dominance if they're already dominant?
Well, to be honest with you, if you go back to ancient times, it was supposed, and again I use the term supposed to protect women. The dominance was supposed to protect women. That was the original design, but unfortunately, that's not how things turned out. Unfortunately, and you know, you talk about the women's suffrage movement that came about because a lot of men became drunks, drug addicts. You know, we had an issue.
So you got to understand, they had you're missing you're cherry picking, if that makes sense. They already had dominance. But then they brought these laws and constrained their own women. If they were already dominant. I'm just asking these questions based off the video. It's not personal. We're just trying to get a clearer understanding here.
Yes, ma'am, I understand. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it was just, this is just my opinion. And then, you know, like I said, I like to quote the scripture. But it was really to protect women.
You said that the laws that the white men subjugated against their women was to protect them?
It was supposed to. It was designed to. But unfortunately, we're human.
Can you give me
we are human. Well, for example, like I said, we know that there are rapists in the streets, right? So
stay in context with the white man and his laws. You said they were supposed to. You said they were intended to protect women.
Yeah.
So give me an example of how.
Protect their purity, virginity. You know, protect them from crime on the street. couldn't walk alone. You know, to this day, you still see it in the Middle East. I know it's not white men, but you know,
that's not protection. That it was to control the women. That's patriarchy. Patriarchy is a mating strategy. And then if you're talking specifically about white men and the white community, they did what they did with white women because it's a mate guard, because it was all about making sure black men and white women wouldn't have sexual relations. The entire system of Jim Crow and Jane Crow was all situated around sex. It's sexism. It's the reason why it's called sex. That's not something feminists just made up. Like, this is just some BS. No, this is real. This is rooted in the biological imperatives of men. Because what happens when men have social dominance, they prioritize sex. That's what they prioritize, sex. And so what they do, they create. Go ahead.
What is life?
What is life?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a vague question. I mean,
just keep it simple. Foundation, like on the foundation of the natural state. What is life?
I mean, to be alive. I mean,
the video, the guy said that males inherently do not have a relationship with life. So I posed the question: what is life then?
Who said that?
The video we're watching.
Oh, okay, yeah, I didn't see it. I just came in about 3 minutes ago or something, so I didn't even see it. I just came in on a conversation.
So in your terms, what do you think life is? Foundational.
It's to be alive, to exist, to be conscious, to be aware, to be self-aware. The ego.
Second question. Do you agree that the world is dominated by men?
Yeah.
If that's the case, then why is there the need for more dominance if men are already dominant?
What do you mean when you say? What do you mean by more dominance? Give me an example of what you mean so I can.
Their treatment of other people, other sex, children, animals.
Right. It's because of part of it is because of just what I was talking about. It's about the biological imperatives of men. It hasn't always been this way. See, they're like, if you hear a lot of these guys talk, they'll act like this is just how it's always been. No, we know through the anthropological record, it's only been this way about 6,000 to 12,000 years. Before that, male dominance is not just an inherent feature of life or of nature of society. It's a direct response to surplus resources, to creating resources, resource hoarding. You know what I mean? But it's not as endemic and ingrained in society as we think. And I don't know why we would think that way when you look at nature itself. Nature itself is not singular. Nature itself is not monopolistic. It's a duality. So there's never been this whole thing where, we want to act like as if men have a monopoly on nature and on life. Nah, it's never been that way. You don't see that in nature. It's a duality. Nature is dualistic.
That's not true. I mean, even in nature, even plants even compete. It kills other plants. It's just.
What does that have to do? What does that have to do with male and female? If you're saying what I'm saying isn't true, what was the social structure that we had before patriarchy or before male dominance? See, because I'm gonna tell you right now, brother, real quick. I'm gonna tell you right now, the feminine aspect is more relevant and more prevalent in nature and in life. Your first habitation was your mother's womb. Your first food supply was your mother's milk. So this whole thing where we want to act as if the male, it's not. No, it's a duality. And I don't understand how fancy modern men being offended when women say that they don't need them, when you want to try and sit here and degrade the feminine principle. Nah, that's that Eurocentric bullshit. That's that Eurocentric BS thinking.
Mary, let Darnell
go ahead. Go ahead.
Reply, and then I want you to listen to some more of this video.
Okay.
Well, I'm I'm not degrading feminism, nor am I, nor do I believe it's Eurocentric, as you called it, BS. You know, it's just a fact of life. You had said earlier, in nature everything is duality and a balance. That's just not, simply put, not true. If something is stronger, no matter what, it could be us as people. It could be lions. It could be gazelles. They have a tendency to overpopulate and try and take over. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense to you? Because like even in the biblical days, like I said, that's been going on since male dominance has been going on since the biblical days. I mean, you read the Talmud, the earliest religious scripture, the earliest religious scripture that believed in one God. The Talmud,
land that plane, Darnell. Land that plane.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and land it. But basically, women were subservient to men, even in the ancient era. Plain
brother, that's 6,012 years ago, brother. That's what we're talking about. The place where the Bible comes from is the place where male dominance came from. That's where it originated, Mesopotamia, what the cradle of civilization, Sumeria. But go ahead, you can go ahead and play the video. So it's not. Go ahead and play the video.
So this means that they kind of grope, and that's sort of all right, because we aren't going to take them to court over it, but we'll all sort of have a laugh behind our hands at it. This is even women taking that view because that person's well known, that man. So we aren't prepared. Look at the Me Too movement. They said, right, they've actually had some success. They're prepared to sacrifice getting jobs to stop men groping them and taking them to bed.
Yes, and that's why misogyny is a very new idea. And because it's been foundational even in religions, the adulterers in the Old Testament get stoned to death. Nothing for the man, nothing at all, okay? And that attitude symbolizes something foundational in a lot of religions. Now, of course, people now in modern society are realizing that we've got to move on from this. Why? Because women are seen as equal human beings to men. And that strikes terror at the heart of men. You've got a very populist psychologist called, clinical psychologist called Jordan Peterson. And he's massively successful because he's reinforcing this idea that women are inferior, want to be slaves, like to...
I want to ask the gentleman on the panel, is misogyny a new idea? Like he said?
Define new. What's your definition of new?
He said misogyny is
no,
new.
it's not it might be a recent idea, but it's certainly not a new idea. I just laid out the time scale of what we're talking about, and even what that guy just mentioned in the video, it's 6,000 to 12,000 years ago. It's going to go right back to it's a biblical connection to it because it goes back to where the place of where the biblical story takes place, Mesopotamia. But he did say something that I found to be interesting when he said that according to the Old Testament, that the women were stoned for adultery. That's not true. I don't know where you get that from.
No, that is true. It's written in the Bible,
brother. When you do realize that the word in the Bible, adultery is a relatively new term. If you're talking about the original text, let me finish. If you're talking about the original text, the law says, "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife." So that law was to men.
Mm-hmm.
That law was to men.
No,
so come on now. Okay.
It also says thou in the 10 Commandments, which is in what testament of the Bible, the New or the Old?
In the Old Testament. It's in the Old Testament.
Old Testament, correct. And it also says thou shalt not commit adultery. Why do you think that was?
Coveting someone's wife and the adultery thing are two different things.
So,
don't covet wife, it means don't covet your neighbor's possessions, period.
The original.
And so
you gotta understand. Hold on.
Well, go ahead.
Hebrew terms and words had certain meanings. So when you translate it from the Greek into the English, it changes the original meaning. This is what I think Amiri is trying to convey.
Well, the Old Testament was written was written in Hebrew, and the bottom line is that the bottom line is that the law was written to the men first and then to the woman. And if you don't believe that, when Moses came down off the mount with receiving the law, and he came down and he saw the children of Israel committing fornication, they just didn't kill the women; they killed the men too who violated. So what he's referencing that New Testament story.
Well, let's talk about what he said about
So guess who would get stoned under it? Guess who would get stoned for committing adultery too? Then
men.
The man and the woman
that's
involved would get stoned.
Okay, then. And all I was merely saying was when he just said that it was for the women but not the men. That's incorrect.
I didn't say that. I didn't say
you said that, brother. See, y'all just want to respond. I was talking about the guy in the video.
Okay, Torch, you can keep playing, please. And then we're gonna
use sexual manipulation to get men to do what they want. And what he's reinforcing in men is we are terrified of women. We need to stay superior. And that isn't a view that most modern women, educated women, are going to tolerate, because they are going to feel like, actually, I'm a human being like you are, and you don't have the right to grope me. You don't have the right to be handsy. And sadly, the people who are going around laughing behind their hands and talking about handsy stuff are people who tragically need to keep their jobs.
Well, if we go up a grade to something that's extremely common, and that's domestic violence. So 1 in 4 people across the world will have physical violence from a partner. 1 in 3 will have sexual violence. Police get 100 calls an hour just in the UK alone. I mean, it's not only that, but apparently there's so many people.
Do you gentlemen believe that men are scared of women mentally?
Yes, I think many modern men. Well, go ahead. I can answer later. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, especially if I'm taking the question as being like, oh, generally speaking, like men generally are afraid of women. No, and define afraid. No, like
psychology.
I think there's probably a lot of guys today more than ever that are probably afraid to approach women because they're like maybe afraid of rejection in that sense. But other than that, like I wouldn't say.
See, but this man on the video, he's a trained psychiatrist and therapist. He's basically saying that men has an inferior in their mind with women. This is why their behavior towards women is so detrimental. So I
could see some men nowadays in today's modern context, because like we all know, like a lot of men aren't doing well mentally.
This is
no, that's what I just said. I said men today are not doing well, mentally. So I could see that being like a case for some of them, but like I don't think that all these men with problems, I don't think all of it goes back to women or always that women are affected necessarily. I think like if the men are having mental problems, that's something like that the men are dealing with, like I don't think it has anything. I mean, sometimes, it may have stuff to do with women, whether it be like their mothers or relationships or their marriages. But like, I don't think that it's because like, they're afraid of women. Like, I don't think it goes back to that at all.
So
that's like a really hyperbolic
on that question. So you're telling me that fear is a mental illness?
It can.
Again, that's why I asked, like, when you say fear, like, which is why I gave the example. Like, I think some men, like, when you say afraid of women, the first thing that pops in my head is like guys being like afraid to approach women, in a romantic sense. That's like the first and like only thing that really came to mind.
Okay, go ahead.
I know, so that's why I'm like, I don't know what he means when he says afraid. I don't think so. If he's talking not about that, no, I don't think. In their mind. So is it that men have an inferiority complex in regards to women?
He's talking about the fear of emasculation, and he's correct.
Like, men, yeah, I think for some men that is definitely a fear or like something that messes with them mentally.
Yeah, but I mean, it's.
Is it most in men across the board? No.
It's for many men. It's for men. It's for men generally. This is a general statement.
So then that would be.
And what he's saying, brother, can I please finish?
And then Darnell and then Spro. You can
leave. Like, exercise some control. Hold on. What he's saying is that men Generally, what we're witnessing in society with this red pill, the suicide rates of men, the acting out. This is nothing but a male backlash, a misogynistic backlash against women, because men as a group.
Okay.
Because men as a group.
Come on, man. Let them finish, then you go next, okay?
Because men as
I'm agree. I'm saying like
do not cut off people here, bro.
Men as a group are perceiving themselves that they're losing social power, and what I mean by that is the benefit of patriarchy. The reason why majority of men would go along with patriarchy, even though many of them don't live up to the tenets that quantify patriarchy, is because at the very least what it does is it gives them a better shot at reproducing than natural selection gives them at reproducing. See, so the power that they're losing is the fact that a lot of women are going to be using natural selection to make their mate choices. They're not going to be using it off of, getting with a man because they can't own a home or because they can't buy their own car and because they can't provide for themselves. So they need a man to do that for them. So now they're obligated to get with a man. Now women can make their own money. They can buy their own homes. They can have bank accounts. They can do everything for themselves that a man traditionally would do. And then they can just screw it. They can just screw the guy that they want to screw. A woman can just arbitrarily screw a guy with literally no consequence.
Give him a chance to say what he was going to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I definitely now understand. That's what I thought he was trying to lay down, which is why I was like, oh, well, then no. However, everything that you said, that is definitely something that happens nowadays. I don't think that that's the cause for like every single like man's problems. I think I think it's like an individual thing. So like men across the board, we know generally aren't doing well, right? And I'm sure we can probably, since we can shave it down to like a particular group that's not doing well, we can then shave it down to like the different reasons as to why that group's not doing well. And I definitely would say that maybe a lot of those men feel emasculated. I don't think it's all necessarily because of like they're consciously aware, like, oh, I'm in a patriarchy and society's changing. I think because society has changed, maybe there are men that aren't doing well that maybe back when things were maybe a different way, whether it be for good or bad, who maybe would have been doing better. And when they go online looking for answers, they see that. So then they attribute that to being the problem. But overall, with men not doing well, I don't think it's all because of like, oh, the patriarchy is crumbling and they're like, oh, I don't have control over the women.
Men globally
I don't think that that's
well, all races of men. That's what you're saying.
I don't know if globally in all races of men. I know that in the West and United States, men across the races are not doing well.
But you understand that men they have this behavior globally, right? Not just in the United States.
Oh, okay. Well, then globally, then if men everywhere aren't doing well, then again, the same rule still applies, even if it's like in every place. If everywhere in the world men aren't doing well, then again, I attribute that to societal changes. But I don't think all the men that have problems would blame their problems on the crumbling of patriarchy. I think for different men to be different problems. It ranges from it ranges from self-esteem, it ranges from education, it ranges from their job fulfillment, family fulfillment, relationship fulfillment, financial fulfillment, spiritual fulfillment, mental fulfillment.
Okay, Darnell, go ahead, and I'm gonna say what I need to say.
I'll go ahead and skip my turn. I do disagree with Amiri, but I'll go ahead and skip my turn. I had to use the restroom, so I couldn't write down what.
What do you disagree with?
Well, I couldn't write down what he was saying.
Wait, you disagree with him? He said everything.
I know he said it, but I had to get up, use the restroom, and I didn't write down what he was saying.
No, I'm saying, but what do you disagree with? Because he said everything he said was fact.
He's given the floor. So if men aren't doing well in a male-dominated world, what are they not doing well in? Is the question.
I just gave a list of and across the board. They're not doing well mentally, spiritually, financially. They're not fulfilled in life. They're not fulfilled in their jobs. They're not fulfilled in their relationships.
So why?
They're not fulfilled with themselves.
Why aren't they doing well then?
I think that multiple reasons. I think again, there's so many. I think, I mean, it's easy for everyone to be like, oh, all of our society's problems are because of the internet and social media. But you know, it plays a part. That's not the sole reason. I think, again, all the reasons I just said, I think it's different for different individuals. I think lack of family structure. A lot of young men are growing up, you know, without their dads. Kids need, you know, both their mom and their dads. I think especially, I mean, everyone benefits from having both a mother and a father, definitely. But because a lot of them are growing up without, you know, proper guidance, you know, that definitely plays a factor. Is a factor.
Amir, what is your? Why do you think men globally aren't doing well? I don't want to hear any like sympathizing scenarios of why these men.
How is, wait, sympathizing scenario?
I want to go straight to the heart of it, of why.
Because they're pieces of shit and they're crumbling and their dicks feel small. Their dicks feel small because the women are better than them. That's why.
You could have said that from the jump, bro.
Then there we go. Let's move on. Next topic.
Anyways,
Bro, are you trolling on that one? You trolling on that one, bro?
Okay.
Yeah.
Gary, why do you think men globally aren't doing well, and why?
No, I wouldn't even know. Men are still there. A lot of this is just overblown, and that's what I'm saying. Even with all the progress that women have made and are making, there's nothing to say that the male hierarchy isn't still going to be male dominated. A lot of the issue that men are having across the globe is that subpar men just can't compete with women. Subpar men cannot compete with women. See, now it's not about your sexuality. It's about what is your human worth, your human value. We're moving more towards a humanistic society, and so now a woman can attain to the highest levels of power. And if she has the drive, if she has the moxie, if she has the intelligence, if she has the charisma to achieve that, then she's going to achieve it. Women are being given a chance at attaining to seats of power, prestige, and prominence that were once held solely by men. And so because of that, many men, which, let's be real, many men are average or below average, right? So you have women out there who themselves are exceptional. They're just exceptional people, let alone them being a woman. They're just an exceptional person. And so because they're exceptional, they're going to surpass a good amount of men on the planet, a good amount of men. Really what we've had is we've had male dominance. We've had male dominance that was subsidized by the government. And so now the government is making a push to be more egalitarian, to be more open towards women, breaking down these structures of patriarchy and male dominance. And so now a lot of men just getting out-competed. We don't want to be honest, but a lot of men are getting out-competed. And I'm going to put it like this. A woman's drive to compete is stronger than a man's drive to compete. And what I mean by that is a man is more driven to have sex. He's not driven, like, men just don't compete just to compete. They compete. The only reason why they compete is because if they don't compete, they wouldn't get a woman. They wouldn't get sex. But now, because this stuff is breaking down, these women just out competing them. And what they mad about is now, because these women out competing them, these women like, I don't gotta give you no ass, nigga. I ain't gotta give you no snappy nappy dugout.
Arnell, remember, we're asking the question based on what Spro said, that men aren't doing well. So
Hey,
I'm
I
asking
want
you, Creative, you want to get on that?
Hey, this is Urbanista. I just wanted to make a comment real quick back to the point that you made about men not doing well globally. One thing that I just wanted to say is I think the part that we negate to realize is the human condition, period, is not good for majority of the world, nor for the majority of this country, right? Most people are poor. Most people are not living well, right? So when we say people are not doing well globally, that is a fact. So even men that live in Arab societies that are male dominated, majority of those men are not doing well. It's always the top that's doing well, and that's a small
minority of people that are doing well. So going back to what Amari was talking about around lesser men not feeling some sort of way because they have to compete with women, a lot of this has to do with the fact that people felt okay when they had people that were under them, right? So when women were under lesser men, then it was fine. But now that women are progressing without those men, now there's a problem. Because people were always doing terrible.
Let me ask you this. So if people globally aren't doing well, right? You said.
They are. Look at the statistics, quite frankly. I mean, most people are poor.
My question. In the Western world,
most people are
what would be
poor.
the hindrance then?
But in the Western world, most people are living
What would be their
poverty.
hindrance of not doing well? And we live in the land of the American dream. What would be the hindrance of not doing well then?
The difference in the Western world is you have more opportunity to do well, right? So that gap shortens because you have more opportunity in the Western society. So women are getting that opportunity, right, in Western society. In
so women are
other
closing the
parts
gap.
of the world, but what I'm saying is in other parts of the world, people don't even have that opportunity, whether you are male or female. If you're from a certain class, right, in society, you don't even get the opportunity. And that's where I think the difference comes into play.
Okay, Angelina, you want to tackle that as well? And we're gonna watch some more of the video.
Well, I was just going to make a short point about men not doing well, and I think a lot of it is a result of, it's kind of like the pretty privilege thing. When you're a woman and you're pretty, you can get by on that for until you're not, right? And I feel like it's the same with men. A lot of men today, it's like they haven't had to step up that much. Does that make sense? It's like they have had opportunities handed to them because they're men, because of patriarchy and all of that stuff. And now that that's kind of crumbling a little bit, or destabilizing, then they don't have the skills to step up to the plate. Does that make sense? It's like, the difference between the swan, what's the word? The ugly woman who turns beautiful in the end but then she's developed a personality along the way because she had to, and the pretty girl. It's kind of like the same thing happening with men now, I think. It's like they've not had to develop the skills to go the extra mile because they were always given an advantage. That's my first thought about it.
Darnell, you want to get on that, and then we're gonna let Spro, because this question was comprised because of what Spro said. So Darnell, do you want to get in on that?
Yeah, I would like to respond to Angelina, if I may.
Go ahead, please.
I do have to disagree with you. I mean, I would agree with you, I would agree with you in the early years of post-World War II. Like I said, yes, it was a patriarchy, and men had advantages over women. Women couldn't, certain jobs women couldn't do back then, but now things have changed. So let me ask you, as a man today, what advantages do I have being a man? Now, I can understand being a black man, there is affirmative action, which is a different conversation. But, me being a man, what advantages do I have in the workplace over a woman?
Well, men are still getting paid more than women today.
So
it's not completely, the advantages that you had are not completely over now.
Well, men get paid more because of different reasons.
Come on now.
Yeah, but
we get paid more because of different reasons.
Yeah, okay.
Like men make more money than women. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, they do. They make more money than women. And whilst you might have reasons that you've used to justify them doing that's still an advantage, right?
Less because they're women.
Bro, we have
no.
Angelina are talking with each other. Please.
But here's the thing. What I'm saying is, I think because patriarchy and that whole system is now being destabilized, men are struggling because they don't have the control that they used to have, A, in relationships, and B, in society. You know, they don't have the advantages that they used to have. That's my point. It is now becoming even, and with that, they now don't have the skills to A, cope in relationships without being toxic and abusive and all that shit. And sorry, don't say shit. And B, within how to coexist with women who are, I don't want to use the word competing, but who are at the same level as them within society. Do you know what I mean? They haven't developed those skills because they've never had to really develop those. Whereas now, because that whole system's breaking down, what do you do? I'm putting myself in the space of a man, and I'm like, I would find it difficult. Even
okay, Darnell, you want to,
the way you worded it, I like how you worded it. Oh, sorry.
What do you mean?
No, I like how you word like that. Like, oh, sorry.
Let's give Darnell a chance, and then we're gonna watch some more of the video because we don't want to stay on the same topics for too long.
Okay.
So Darnell, do you want to reply to what Angelina just said, or no?
I'll cede my time to Spro. I'll let him respond if that's okay.
Make it fast. Land the plane.
Oh, my G. All right. No, I like how you worded it. That again, that is a good point. I don't deny that any of those things are like true. I definitely think that definitely I guess patriarchy, not like men not, I guess, being like the sole runners of society anymore. That definitely does, I think, play a role in like one of the reasons why like a lot of men probably aren't doing as well. Even I would even say there's something to what you were saying about like, oh, like because they didn't have to develop certain skills, like as far as, and I'm gonna talk only in the context of, because that it seems like that's what everyone's talking about as far as like finding a mate or whatever. So it is harder for the men.
What men not
well,
doing
no,
well.
because that's well, if we're talking about as far as quote competing with women and stuff, that's in that context, like men feeling like patriarchy is, you know, like if patriarchy crumbling is the reason why men are not doing well, and that's why the men feel as though they're not doing well, it would be in that context. Like, and I'm speaking as a man, it would only be in the context of me like trying to build a family or get into a relationship with someone. Every other aspect, it would be like the same as anyone else. If we're talking about in the workplace, I would treat a woman coworker who I'm competing with the same way as a male who I'm competing with, because like that's the only relationship I have with them. So the only context is if we're talking about in relationships and family building, which does make sense because men were at one point the sole providers and breadwinners, and so because of that, they were a high commodity, even the average Joe. But now, because patriarchy is, because I'm starting to see like what you guys are saying.
Were replaced. That's why they were solely the breadwinners.
Yeah, but that I'm putting myself in a man's.
Women did not have the option. Women did not have the option to choose if they wanted to either, you know, stay at home or to join the workforce. So now that they have the choice, you know, a lot of women are joining the workforce. And get this, not every woman. Some women decide that they want to be homemakers or whatever. And if they get with a guy where they can afford that it, you know, then that's cool. Now, nowadays, for most people, very few people, you need two incomes. You know, that's just how it is. I think a lot of people get along with that. However, I think that the men that aren't doing well, I don't think that they could be doing well from, like I said, multiple reasons. The patriarchy thing could definitely be a part of it. However, I think what the men are doing is they're solely blaming all of their problems on the fact that patriarchy is collapsing and on the fact that, you know, women, they're blaming it on women. And I think
blaming it on women.
That's not fair, because get this, even if technically it is because society's changing and stuff like that, that maybe it's harder for them to date, or, you know, there's even more individuals to compete with in the workforce. That doesn't mean that, again, that's their problem. The problem is that you're not adapting. Society's always going to change. Society has been changing. So them not adapting is why they're having a problem. It's not the women's fault. It has nothing to do with women getting liberation. It has nothing to do with patriarchy collapsing. Again, these are pieces of it, but at the end of the day, it's personal responsibility. These men aren't doing well because they're not taking responsibility for the areas in their life that they are not getting the desired results.
Okay, Coach, keep playing.
Okay, go.
having to be rehomed. It costs an absolute fortune. So it's a real epidemic, domestic violence. And I'm wondering, we're not all stupid women when we meet men, and men can be extremely charming. We don't know that they're going to start attacking us and hit us because we say the wrong thing. Why does it happen?
Because it's not the woman's issue. It's not the women's fault. There is something wrong with men.
That's the first
And
thing he
women
said I agree
cannot
with.
solve the
Hold
problem.
up,
Feminism
we
has
watching.
tried and
Hold up.
failed because men have to find the psychological ability to look at their brains and ask themselves, why do I have this need to physically beat up a weaker woman? Why? Why do I feel that compulsion or right that I can act like this?
Well,
And it's a men's question to themselves. It's nothing that women should be asking men. It's something men should be asking each other and themselves.
But a lot of men, I mean, even men who serve on quite important city boards will say, oh, no, we don't want too many women. They talk too much, they're difficult. And going back to the domestic violence situation, they don't want to be contradicted. They don't want to be told what to think or what to do. Men want to rule, the sort of patriarchy. They want to be in charge.
It's more than that. It is a patriarchy, and that's my point about the psychological illness in men.
Okay, stop it, Torch.
Men are profoundly inferior.
Now, he said it's more than that. So, Angelina, you're going to go first. What is that more in your mind? What is that more? What could that more be?
That is a difficult question.
Oh yeah, I come with it. I come with it. I'm telling you, get ready.
That is a really difficult question. Can you give me a minute to think on that for a minute?
All right.
Because I'm like,
Go ahead.
Yeah, I need to think about that too, and then I'll formulate
Okay,
it.
Mary, go ahead.
It should be open.
What's the question?
What is he said that domestic violence, right? Why do men, she asked, why do men have the need to do this? And he said that it's not the woman's fault. It's more than that. So I'm asking the panelists, what is that more?
I'll be honest, I reject out of hand what he's saying right there. Like there's nothing that reflects that. You know what I mean? Now, this in terms of a social system. Can I please finish? Can I please finish?
Sorry, go ahead.
Because
and
this is what I was going to say. The problem that I have with what he's saying is he's acting as if domestic violence, aggression is somehow uniquely male, and it's not. We know it's not. You know what I mean? If you go look at any of the data, the women, the people who abuse children, is not men. It's women. So what I'm rejecting is this idea, this notion. Yes, go look at the statistics. Go look at the statistics.
That's incorrect.
Look it up. The statistics don't lie. The statistics do not. Let me finish. The statistics do not lie, and the fact of the matter is that women have more contact with children than men. So just off of that alone, women are going to be overrepresented when it comes to child abuse. Now, in terms of men having this predisposition, if you want to say men have a predisposition to use violence to control women, I would agree with that. But this thing where he's trying to make it seem like this is just unilateral, it's not. None of the data says that it is. He's landing on thick right there. I'm just going to be honest.
You know what?
Angelina, can you rebuttal?
I most definitely can. That is not correct. That is absolutely not correct. Men are the highest abusers of children, of men and men, women and men, all around the world. That is incorrect.
The data does not say that. So you're saying, wait a minute. So you're saying that when the statistics show that women are the main abusers of children, that's incorrect. But then when the statistics turn around and say that men are the heavier in domestic violence, that is correct. But you see, you can't cherry pick. And the reason why I'm bringing up the children and the mother is because who's the one who's first socializing the child to think that violence is an acceptable form to respond with dissatisfaction? See, you can't make this nature versus nurture debate. You can't.
I think you're mixing up. I think you're mixing up the statistics here, because men are worldwide the largest abusers of everybody. That is across the board.
Look up the statistics. Look up the statistics.
What statistics are you referring to? Because
Listen, we cannot get out of control.
When we're talking,
Angelina, you going to say what you're saying?
See, you can't. They want to portray it as if men have a monopoly on violence. That's not true.
They do. They do.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
That is known across the board.
Wait, real quick. How did I start this conversation? I said there's no monopoly in nature. It's duality. So just knock it off, man.
No, but it's not though.
It is.
Listen. This is worldwidely known that men have the monopoly.
Okay,
on
well,
violence,
let me ask you a question.
Especially domestic violence.
Let me ask you a question. What statistics are you using to make that? What statistics are you using to make that assertion?
I've just finished my master's in domestic violence and sexual abuse.
Okay, so
specializing in trauma, and I'm telling you, men across the board. I can't access the statistics right now.
You're just rejecting what I'm saying. We already know it's bidirectional. It's bidirectional.
I have read thousands of journals. I am not talking about the statistics I just Googled for a minute. I'm talking about the background, the foundation of domestic abuse. We all know that men have the monopoly on domestic abuse, whatever the case might be.
Okay, you guys
we don't. Okay, we'll disagree.
What would you gonna say?
That's it.
May I interrupt?
Yeah, I was gonna. Can I go next, please?
Yeah, go ahead, Urbanista.
Yeah. Thank you. So what I was gonna say is, I kind of understand what Mary is saying about the fact that women have the relationship with children, and women are disciplining the children. So if you're looking at that discipline as domestic violence, right? And what we're finding now is some of that is domestic violence. That, I could understand what he's saying. So I'm not going to say that women cannot be abusers. And then we're also seeing that in a lot of same-sex relationships as well, too. I think there's a bigger play here, which is a power dynamic. And I think that's what Mary was alluding to, right?
I understand that. But even with those statistics in play, men are still the biggest abusers in the worldwide.
And they might.
Not of children, they're not.
Saying.
Not of children, they're not.
Yeah, but I guess what I want to go back to the main point, which was around why people are abusers. And I think a lot of it has to do with power dynamics. I guess that's where I'm going with this, right? So whoever in the relationship has that power dynamic, that person tends to be the person that is the abuser in the situation.
Okay, Darnell, go ahead.
Yes. So I decided during the argument, I decided to look up the statistics, and from the source that I see, Amiri is actually correct. In the United States, Amiri is correct. Child abuse in the United States, and this is according to Statista.com. But it says in the United States, more perpetrators of child abuse were women than men. And it says in 2021, about 233,918 perpetrators of child abuse were women, compared to 213,672 male perpetrators. So it's almost even, but women are the bigger contributors to
Is that
child
including
abuse.
sexual abuse?
It just says child abuse. So I'm not
exactly.
sure.
I'm really wanting this to be, if we're going to talk about this, because they do that a lot. They get these statistics and are like, men are abused just as much as women are abused, but they don't give you the finer indications of actually, men are abused by men more than they're abused by women in those statistics, right? So with this child abuse,
Well, look, really quick. If you look up force to penetrate, and what they're finding, what the social scientists are finding, is that women forcing men to penetrate them is at rough parity with men forcing themselves on women. See,
Where did you find this?
Let me finish.
Sorry, go ahead.
Let me finish. Because what's been happening is they've been studying this stuff just at looking at men, but now that they're starting to look at women, now we're starting to bring into view the things that women do. So if you wanna look up the statistics as it relates to sexual abuse between men and women, look up force to penetrate, and it speaks for itself. It speaks for itself, man. Now, am I saying that men don't?
Where did you find the statistic on force to penetrate? Because, go ahead, carry on.
Just look up force to penetrate. But where I get the research from,
and what are they using to define this? Because the thing with these statistics is the actual reality is in the details. And
okay, let me chime in.
Misrepresented a lot.
Let me chime in just for 1 second. Okay, so let me go back to what Darnell was saying before. He said they were almost even with women being a little bit more. But what that stat does not show is that women are in much more proximity to their children than the men are. So really, it's a disparaging thing for men, because if the abuse is being done almost even between men and women, but the women mostly are the ones who are the caregivers to the children, that's not a good stat for men, because it should be.
That is exactly my point. Yeah.
No, that's I understand what you're saying, DJ Torch, but the point is, and this is what the sister said I was alluding to, it's about power. See, feminists and everybody want to make this about gender, but it's about power. And what we're finding is that when people
it's about gender.
Can I please finish? How can it be about gender when women, because they're in proximity to children more, are abusing children more? It's about power. And when people have power, they abuse it. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So you can't make it a gender issue. And this is some of the things that we're seeing. As women gain more power, that what they've been seeking, they're going to start being examined under the same microscope that they're examining men under. That's what's going to happen. This is about power. People with power abuse it.
Okay, I'm hearing what you're saying. I'm not going to be.
Heart is the problem. It's not the genders.
Let Angelina reply.
I'm hearing what you're saying. I'm not completely shut down to women can abuse too. That is not my point, right? My point is, when you say that, basically what Torch said, when you say that women abuse more than men, it is still inaccurate, because men have less access, but are still doing the most. Does that make sense? It's like, it's.
Okay, I want you guys.
Yeah, I think
whoever
what you're
have
saying.
something else to say, we're going to say it.
So those statistics are not. So those statistics are still not accurate. Like I said, the devil is in the details. You cannot just look at a statistic and go, "Oh, this is more than that." There you go. That's not.
Yeah, and I think
the devil is in the details.
Men have more of a propensity towards violence, right? That's what you're saying. Is that fair?
And abuse.
But I said that.
And it's still the biggest abusers worldwide. That has not changed. You can't just look up a statistic online and go, "Oh, well, no, that's changed. Women are." That's nonsense.
Okay.
Okay.
Can we move on with the video, please?
May I ask Angelina one more question?
Aggressive.
Go ahead.
That's biologically wired into their brain.
Okay.
And that's why they go around causing wars.
What did you want to ask me?
So I just wanted to ask you, where do you get your statistics from, if you don't mind me asking?
From my master's in domestic violence and sexual assault, defined rooted trauma.
Okay.
I'm not putting up a statistic. I'm literally taking from my mind the many journals that I've read on the topic, the many discussions I've had on the topic, my core learning on the topic. I'm just telling you point blank, that is the understanding across the board.
That means I have to take your word for it. But as I pointed out, I at least quoted, and I told you where
And
you
as
could find
I pointed out, your statistic
This
is
is not a
not.
conversation. Hold on, Angelina. This is not a conversation to prove who's right and who's wrong. We're just having a conversation, and I'm asking questions based on your responses in the video. So we're gonna move on past this.
Yes, ma'am.
And continue to watch the video because we have people that are listening to us, and we do not want to be like all the other panels. We are
Yes,
intelligent enough to agree to disagree.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're going to continue watching the.
You sure?
I hope so.
Well, I have no choice. This is not the Darnell show.
Psychological illness in men. Men are profoundly inferior and profoundly aggressive. And that's biologically wired into their brain. And that's why they go around causing wars. That's why they go around destroying other nations, because men have something seriously unevolved and unadapted inside their brain structure.
How did it get there?
It's a biological need, but for some reason.
Now, you guys heard what he just said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with that? If not, please tell me why. Go first, Darnell.
I'm going to have to decline. I missed it while I was doing some research. I apologize. I have to see
Torch,
it.
can you play 20 seconds back so we can get it again?
Sure can. It seems, but my first observation is that actually reinforces Angelina's
And I really can't
observation.
explain it.
That's my point.
Well, it is a patriarchy, and that's my point about the psychological illness in men. Men are profoundly inferior and profoundly aggressive, and that's biologically wired into their brain. And that's why they go around causing wars. That's why they go around destroying other nations. Because
He said
men have
profoundly
something
inferior.
seriously
Can we wait
unevolved
till the video is done?
For the video.
and unadapted
But you gotta go back
inside their
20
brain
seconds.
structure.
How did it?
It's well that.
All right, right there.
It is a patriarchy, and that's my point about the psychological illness in men. Men are profoundly inferior and profoundly aggressive, and that's biologically wired into their brain. And that's why they go around causing wars. That's why they go around destroying other nations, because men have something seriously unevolved and unadapted inside their brain structure.
How did it get there?
It's a biological need.
So the question would be, do you agree that men have something wrong with their brains and they are uninvolved? Who wants to go first?
May I go first, please?
Go ahead.
Okay. No, because for the same reasons that I think it's wrong to say that like women like are just like biologically.
No, listen, you don't just keep it with the men, please.
No, I'm explaining my example. It is wrong and foul to say that like someone like because of a human being because of an immutable characteristic is less than and underdeveloped. Like again, the problems with people and relationships, it's a human problem. Men and women are different, so our problems and like our fuck ups are gonna look different, and our wins are gonna look different. And like you're right, society's changing, patriarchy's crumbling. Again, these are factors, but like to say the shit that he just said, that is foul and backwards. It is insane, and it's almost pandering. Like I do not take him seriously. I think that he's lying. Because I can't see anyone like taking this statement and like making it make sense.
I have to interrupt for 1 second.
extremely
I have to
offensive.
interrupt for 1 second. Hold on. We are not here to say whether name call, especially a video.
I'm name call. We're reacting to
no,
a video.
let me finish what I'm saying. Let me finish what I'm saying. Let me finish what I'm saying. Make an observation. Okay, that is not based on emotion. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay. Comment based not off emotion. That is it's an egregiously ignorant comment.
Okay, Mary, the question is.
But it's based on research.
What he said.
It's not based on research.
Can I let me
men are
chime?
not underdeveloped.
Can I chime in here?
Remember the
Oh
question?
no, I disagree with that bit. They're not underdeveloped.
Hold on, Mary. Do you remember the question?
Yeah, I remember it.
Okay, go ahead.
What he's saying is nonsense. What he's saying, it would be analogous to me saying why he's mentioning the something wrong with the structure of the man's brain. It would be like me saying because men have bigger brains than women, it means that men are more are smarter than women. That doesn't mean that. When he's talking about that's why they go around causing wars. Let's keep it a buck. Men do the things they do because we evolved this way. This is evolution, and the environment is what creates evolution. So the reason why men are the way they are is because up until very recently, the environment called for this, and the reason why is we don't live in a utopia. So guess what that means? If we're in an area and the resources dry up in that area, so it's a drought, it's a famine, there's no food, there's no water. Guess what that means we got to do? That means we got to go find some food and water. And if we go to find food and water, and when we go to get this food and water, they got men there, we're going to have to fight over that food and water. See, he's talking nonsense. And what this is modernity allowing people to make these, especially academics. I'll give academics that work. You can call them PhDs, man. It don't matter, because we don't live in a utopia. We live in a finite environment with finite resources, and we're competing over resources. That's what causes war. Period.
Okay. Angelina, do you believe that men? You understand the question I posed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I don't believe that they're an inferior. I don't believe that at all. I believe that they have a different set of skills to women. I don't think they're unevolved. I believe they have a different set of skills. And both skills are important for the whole to be a real whole, right? So like the other gentleman said about, having to do certain things, and it's like, I can't remember what he said entirely. Basically, it's the result of
wrong with the male brain structure.
No. What the other guy said in the panel about, it being the result of society and the way in which they've had to navigate within society before that is creating the wars and stuff like that. I agree with that, right? But I do also agree with the academic about I don't know why it is the way it is. I don't believe it's because they're an inferior race, but there is definitely something not up. There is definitely something different about the male species that makes them more susceptible to perpetrating violence and domestic violence and abuse of all kinds. That's what I would say. I don't think they're an inferior race, but I would agree with that.
Bernice, do you understand the question posed?
Yeah, I understand the question. I kind of agree with a few parts of what everyone has said. I don't necessarily think that anyone's inferior to anyone, nor do I think that the reason why men display a certain level of aggression has anything to do with them not being developed. What I think it is it goes back to, again, socialism, right, and society. And a lot of the things that we do are because of the way society is structured. And I still think that a lot of the reason why men flex their dominance is because of the power dynamic.
Okay, Darnell, you want to tackle that question?
Yes, ma'am. I agree with a combination of Spro, Amiri, and even portions of Angelina. I got that right? Angelina? I got that right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. So I agree with portions of what Angelina said as well. I don't believe that men are necessarily inferior. Are there certain things that men are inferior when it comes to women? Yes. Are there certain things where women are inferior when it comes to men? Yes. It's just we have our advantages and we have our disadvantages. Both genders have advantages and disadvantages. Okay. As far as war, let's just pretend, I understand. Yes. I believe a majority of wars have been created by men, just about all of them. 99.999% of wars have been created by men. The only war I can think of that was created by a woman was, actually that wasn't even created by a woman. That was actually created by a man. So I have to say 100% now. So, but here's the thing.
By you saying that, the guy on the video is saying because of the wars and all of this stuff, that there is something, there's an imbalance in the male's brain makeup. That's what this man is saying.
But see, that's
I don't know.
Can I? Wait, can I lay out two quick facts, really quick? Really quick.
As long as I can get a time to respond.
Well, yeah, really quick. I just want to highlight that it was actually Queen Isabella of Spain that sent Christopher Columbus on his mission to colonize the New World. That's number one. Number two, it was Alexander the Greek's mother that put him in his position to become the great conqueror and king that he became. And the reason why I'm saying that is that the things that men get their imperative from women. That's the whole message of the Matrix movie. It was always the oracle's game. It's always the feminine has always been in control, because the feminine is the one who chooses who gets to plug into the source and reboot themselves and recreate themselves. So the task that men have in society, women give it to them. That's where the provision and protection piece comes from. You see what I'm saying? So that guy landed on thick, man. He's pandering.
Okay, so what I wanted to say, getting back to the men creating wars and things of that nature, is like let's take men out of the equation. Let's pretend the Y chromosome just disappeared. All the men died off, and women found a way to reproduce asexually. I want to pose a question to everyone on the panel. Given what Amiri had said earlier about competing for resources, hey, if I don't have food, I don't have water. Keep in mind, men, we're gone. We died out like the dinosaurs. So it's nothing but women, and they're able to reproduce asexually, meaning by themselves. Okay? If you have no resources, what do you think women are going to do? They're going to try and go. As far as the panel goes, I posed this question to the panel. What do you think women are going to do if they have no food, they have no water, they have no building material, no gold, no silver? What do you think women are going to do? Do you think that they are not going to fight in a war or a battle?
I don't know if they understand that.
Can I just make a point about what I don't know who the lady is who said about the issue being controlled. Who was the lady who said that? She was saying that the issue around
it was me, Urban.
Yeah, and that really stood out to me, because I'm thinking, okay, so could it be the result of the fact that, as we all agree, I think most of us agree, that men are a certain way in order to advance in this society and past generations and all of that stuff. Could this be this difficulty that they're having right now with the issue of domestic violence and all that stuff? Could this be as a result of them not being able to adapt to the lack of control? So maybe it's not a case of something being wrong with their brain per se, because I feel like men are designed to be the way that they are. If we're going with the whole protectors of women thing, it would be kind of useless if they weren't kind of, more susceptible to being violent. Because if they weren't, then what's happening? Who's being protected here? We're going to just sit down and cry together. This is not, it's not helping, right? So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So I'm now thinking,
we've been on here 2 hours. So Torch, you want to continue this, or you want to give final? Let's do final remarks.
We can keep going. We can keep going a little bit longer. Let's see where we go with this.
Wait, can I give a final remark? I actually have to. I gotta go. I gotta go do a live.
Okay, go ahead.
So just to sum it up, this video, my thoughts, because I guess that's what we're doing, reacting to this. This guy is a hack. I disagree. However, I did learn a lot about a bunch of other things. I think it opened my mind. I never thought about the aspect of patriarchy crumbling being a reason why men aren't doing well. I think because like the way it sounds, kind of goes against probably, my masculinity. But honestly, upon thinking about it, it makes a lot of sense. And I think that there's something that could be explored there. So like, I'm really thankful for that. Again, everybody on the panel, much love. Yeah, again, thank you. I learned something from everybody. Everyone delivered and gave something. Didn't agree with every single person, but I agreed with every single person at one point or another. So that's always the best bet. I get it, y'all.
Spro, you said you're going live.
Okay, let's.
Having a show coming up.
Okay, so I'm gonna I'm gonna let the house make the decision. Do you want to continue with this, or do you want to go to another video to review?
I would like to continue if I have a.
I would like to continue.
But DJ Torch.
Yeah.
No, I was saying with the discussion we're currently having.
Yeah.
On my end, if that's possible.
We're discussing the video, so we're gonna continue to watch the video. Yes or no?
No, I wanted to continue to talk about the point, because my question that I had posed to the panel was never answered, and I would just like an answer.
Okay, I could tell you why it wasn't, because it was too impossible of a scenario.
It's a dream world. I mean, there are things that do.
There's no way to make somebody to make an argument on that. Of course, any type of animal is going to be fighting another animal. If there's no food, they're going to fight for the last. I mean, things like that happens inside the human body. Now, here's the question to pose. Here's a question I think will be more helpful.
Okay.
If you were, would you feel more comfortable if there was a community of all men, or more comfortable if the community of all women and you were the only other person in that community?
Would I be the only male in that community?
Yeah. Would you be?
I ain't gonna. Yeah, y'all already know the answer to that.
What I mean is, as far as let me be more specific. As far as safety is concerned.
Safety. I'd have to say, that's a tough one, but I have to say community of all men. That kind of, man.
So can I jump in? This is what I would say, and I actually had this conversation with some misandrists on Clubhouse, because I'm not pro misogyny, I'm not pro misandry. I'm very much balanced in my worldview, and I would just say it like this: it depends on what the threat is, on what the imminent threat is. I think if it was me and a bunch of women, I wouldn't feel as safe as I would feel if I was around a bunch of dudes. And the reason why is because my only threat isn't coming from another human being. I have to worry about other predatory animals, and I have to worry about the climate. See, that's why I mentioned environment and how we evolved this way for a reason. This is evolution. We don't live in a utopia. We live in a very hostile environment. Nature is hostile. What we're doing is we're allowing modernity and the comfortability of leisure to give us this illusion as if somehow, we could just be the society where men didn't have that killer instinct. The reason why men have that, what are you talking about? Say that again.
Can you define modernity for those in the chat who doesn't know that word?
Just living in modern times. You have So I always use this example. Once upon a time, we got around with horse and buggy. Now we have vehicles with power steering fluid. When it was horse and buggy, women couldn't go nowhere by themselves because it take a lot of manpower to control that horse. So they always had to be chaperoned somewhere by a man, because he can handle those horses more readily than a woman can. You see what I'm saying? So now in modern time, we have vehicles though that have power steering. They have seat belts. They have all these things that make you safer. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by modernity. But we live in a hostile environment and a hostile climate. And if you don't have men opposing that hostility, you're gonna be overran by nature. You're gonna be overran by nature. When you see an abandoned building and you see how nature will overrun that abandoned building, that's what happens if you don't have men. That's what happens.
Anybody want to chime in before we click the play button? I guess.
I mean, I can understand that back in the day, but I don't know with technology. I mean,
Yeah, but
there's a lot.
who maintains that technology though?
Both men and women now. I mean,
Yeah,
there's.
but
I mean,
the thing I would say to
I've
that,
seen-
oh, I'm sorry, DJ George, go ahead.
Yeah, I've seen women dig ditches. You know, obviously they have machinery, but they know how to run it.
Right, yeah. But that's the point I'm making though, DJ Torch, is we're trusting in modernity, but this is what I'm saying. You can have a natural disaster and it wipe that modernity out. That's the point that I'm making. And so what happens if we put all our reliance on technology and we no longer have men who are capable at being men? And what you think is going to happen? You're going to be overran by nature, by the hostile environment. So that's why. Well, go ahead.
It would have to be a quite a disaster for that to happen.
Yeah, I know, but look at what was going on in Hawaii a little while ago. Like, this is what I'm saying. We just think that, you know, everything is peachy keen, but you just never know when it. Look, I'm a Hurricane Katrina survivor, so I've seen this stuff up close and been through it, and I know how scary it is when you're up against nature. You see what I mean? And if you don't have men doing the things of opposing nature, making sure roads and bridges and levees are intact, man, you can get wiped out in a minute if something happens. You know, so we just always in a constant battle with nature.
I totally see where you're coming from, but again, I mean, these days, even if there was a disaster, there'd still be enough technology left around, and I don't mean like high-end technology, not like phones, but I'm talking about like just regular tractors and things that have been around since 100 years, right? To do the heavy lifting. That's, I guess, what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's just a balance. It's a balance. You know what I mean? It's a balance.
Okay. Anybody else?
But for some reason, and I really can't explain it, the male species is unlike any other on the planet. There is no other animal that acts towards its own kind, and kinship is a key thing in biology. Okay, there is no other animal on the planet that acts to its own kind the way the male brain acts towards its own kind. What the male brain does is seriously mentally disordered. And if you don't understand it as a mental illness and keep just trying to find laws and
there is some relevance to this, and I'll tell you why, because this is really the core issue in the community, in my opinion, because look at how violent our own men are against each other. Let's ignore women altogether. We are doing each other in. I mean, there's no other element I can think about except for maybe high blood pressure or something that is really that puts us in any more danger than each other. So, I mean, that's kind of a hard argument to I mean, I would say to the debate, you know, or to debunk, unless somebody wants to give it a try. Okay, I'm gonna play more then. Here we go.
and talk about culture, you will not even come close to the problem because it's a psychological disease.
Laws they are trying. The Domestic Abuse Act of 2021 in the UK, and even the EU is trying to persuade its 27 members that hate crime should be on their treaty. So, you know, whether they'll do any good, I don't know.
That's another point. I'm going to shut up after this, though, because, you know, I'm going to shut up. But who are the purveyors of hate crimes and domestic crimes? I mean, why did they have to write these laws? Was it because of men or women? I'm just going to make it very general.
It's because of men.
Men.
Yeah, it's because of men.
So I'm not saying that men are inferior, but, you know, I think we are slightly inferior when it comes to a skill set of resolution. I mean, of conflict resolution. I'm going to shut up.
Well, my thing is this. This is why I mentioned the whole thing about the mothers. It's the nature versus nurture debate. Like let's keep let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a buck. You can't either violence is innate or violence is learned. Which one is it? You have to pick. You can't make both of the arguments. Either violence is learned, or real quick, either violence is learned or it's innate. Is violence a learned behavior or not?
Well, here's the thing. We're not saying that females can't be violent.
That's what he's saying.
No, that's not what he's saying. That's
That is
not
what
what he
he's
said.
saying.
No,
Yes,
that's not what
This
he
guy-
said. That is
this guy
absolutely
I'm
not what he
listening-
said.
I'm
He
listening
didn't
to what
say-
he's saying.
Okay, let me
I'm
finish
listening
what I'm
to what he's
saying.
saying.
I hear what
Go
you're
ahead.
saying. Let me finish what I'm saying. That is not what he said. What he's talking about is men and their susceptibility to being violent, and the whys and the who's and whys of why he thinks they're doing that. He hasn't even really spoken about
Okay, well,
women.
now,
It's
all right,
not,
now let me ask
so
you a
wait,
question.
So,
What the percentage of men that he's using to characterize all men, is that a majority of men or a minority of men?
It's a majority of men.
No, it's not. If it's a majority of men, the majority of men would be in prison or dead. That's a minority of men who are engaging in that activity. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it's about socialization. This is the problem that I have with what he's saying. He keeps wanting to make it about biology. Real quick, he keeps wanting to make it about biology and psychology. This is sociology. This is about how environment affects behavior. What his argument is basically saying is that this behavior is self-manifesting, and behavior is not self-manifesting. It's not. Behavior is a response to external stimuli in one's environment, so he can run that game with somebody who don't know nothing. I know what he's saying right there is malarkey. Behavior is learned. It's a learned response to stimulus in your environment. That's the whole purpose of the brain. This is why you had the 5 senses. Like now, see, I can have I can pose the question this way: if you say you had a deaf, dumb, blind, handicapped, mute man, is that man just going to inherit? Is he going to display these same traits that he's claiming is endemic to men? If that mute, real quick, and I'm gonna land the plane. If that deaf, dumb, blind, handicapped mute has never been stimulated in that environment, is that mute, deaf, dumb, blind, handicapped mute going to display the same characteristics that he's claiming is endemic to men? Yes or no?
I have no idea.
Exactly.
To be honest, I have no idea. I can't.
Stuff is learned, man. It's learned behavior.
Every behavior is learned behavior.
This is
Are
my
you sure?
question. If we can agree that it's learned behavior, who are the teachers?
The society teaches. See, I'm not going to put it on. Real quick, I'm not going to put it on. It's not about gender for me. Society. Can I real quick, and that's going to be quick.
You're
Society.
shifting the message a lot, so I'm getting a little bit
All right, well, go ahead.
Carry on, but I'm just saying I'm getting a little bit disoriented with what you're saying because you're shifting it. Because first it was like women are, are violent too, and that was your argument, and now it's like the nature versus nurture. I'm getting a little bit dizzy on your point.
Yeah, it's nature versus nurture. What I'm saying is that violence is a human characteristic. It's not especially a male or female characteristic. Violence. I just gave you the floor. Then you asked me to speak. Then when I start speaking, you're interrupting. Go ahead. I don't have to press the issue.
I would agree with that. Violence is a human behavior. I will 100% agree with that. But what he is saying, he's not saying it's not a human behavior. That is not the argument he's making. He's saying that it is more of a situation in men. And it's his whole point. And he's saying that this is because of their brain structure and all of that stuff. Now, I don't know how much of that I support. But then he's the expert on it, not me. So,
right, I hear you.
So I'm gonna take his lead on this because he's done way more research into what he's talking about, as in brain structure and all of that, than I have. So I'm not going to sit here and dismiss what he's saying and say it's rubbish because I did a Google search. You know what I mean?
So,
like, I think
can I
that
ask
in
you a
itself
question?
is a little bit ignorant. But
Right,
yeah,
but
carry on.
well, the reason, let's talk about why he understands the brain structure. The reason why he can understand the brain structure and the difference between a male brain and a female brain is because of men. A man came up with that concept. That's the structuralist concept that a psychologist came up with. Sigmund Freud is not the father of psychology like people think. It's another guy, and that guy is the one who studied the brain and the mind and the structure of it. So he wouldn't even be able to make the argument he's making if it wasn't for a man who did the research. Like, but then gonna say that men are inferior.
No,
like,
you're
come on,
shifting.
man.
You're
Go
shifting.
ahead.
Oh my gosh, you're everywhere.
All right, go
I'm
ahead.
literally like, what has that got to do with the other point we were making about the brain and him talking about the brain? Like, you've just literally gone straight off base.
No, I'm not. What I'm saying is this: is he's using a minority of men who engage in this activity, and he's trying to characterize all men that way, and yet it don't work like that. It's socialization. It's the socialization. Those, like the things that those men are doing, that's learned behavior. It's learned behavior. It's not just something that they're doing just because they're men.
I don't believe that it's I don't believe that.
You guys,
I believe learned behavior exists, but I don't think that that's the entirety of what's going on when it comes to men being violent. I don't think it's just about learned behavior. I think we've gone far too far left with
so
that.
we're going to continue to watch some more, and then we're going to go into some closing, because Torch, this is really a deep video, honestly, because it puts up a mirror to men and women, and it gives us insight on how do we believe and what we believe in and our perception of stuff, if you get my drift. So we're going to continue to watch it. I'm kind of tired, you guys, but we're going to continue to watch some more, and we might have to pick this back up on a second time where we left off.
I agree.
So go ahead and play it some more.
Okay,
then,
I wanted to see if Urbanista wanted to chime in. She hasn't spoken.
And also, we want the chat. Please put a question in for the panelists, please.
We can go ahead and continue. Thanks, Torch.
Okay, just a second. Here we go.
I think someone said it. Sorry, Hazel was like, "Where's your research?" Exactly. We can't debate his argument when we don't have the level of knowledge that he has in the area that he's talking about.
This guy hasn't presented one source for what he said. But so where's his information?
Yeah, but he's
all I got to do is go to my library, because I got the books. A lot of that stuff he's probably researched and read. I've probably researched and read, but he hasn't cited one source in what he's saying.
Amiri, I believe it's he's a PhD, so
exactly.
It's
a different level. Like, you know.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question. What he's saying right now is that a consensus of the psychology PhDs in academia? Is what he's saying the consensus
in the brain? I have no idea. I haven't studied the brain.
It has to be peer reviewed. What he's saying has to be peer reviewed, and if it's not if he doesn't have a consensus.
And he would have, because that's what he studied in. That's what I'm saying. Like,
no. You're not going to tell me. Listen, you're not going to tell. So you're telling me. So real quick, you're telling me that that's the consensus. That's the consensus in psychology, that there's something wrong with the male brain.
I didn't answer the question. That's not what I said.
Okay, go ahead then.
What I said was, he is studied in this area. I cannot say that's not the consensus based on my master's in something completely different. That's not how this works, right?
It's not the consensus.
How do you know?
Because I know it's not. That's not the consensus. The consensus is not. What you mean? Look. It would be analogous to me saying that something is wrong with women because they get a cycle every month. Like, knock it off. That's what that guy is. It's the same thing.
Well,
Calm down.
If he is saying, wait a minute. If he is whatever he is stating here It's going to be based on research. Yes, he might have put his own opinion in there, but it's going to be heavily supported by research. He's not just going to come out of the gate and just make up some shit because it sounds good. That's what I'm saying. He's got a PhD, which means he's done a lot of research. Which means,
and I guarantee you, there's a PhD who disagrees with him. You're not going to tell me there's not a PhD who don't disagree with him.
I'm not saying there isn't. I'm not fighting. We're not fighting. We're not fighting.
10 in the chat.
No, we're not fighting at all.
Put a 10 in the chat if you want me to schedule a debate with Amiri and Angelina. Put a 10 in the chat. Angelina versus Amiri. And we're going to come up with the topic and the question. Oh, we got 10. 110. DJ Torch, come on now.
I'm being biased.
Come on, chat. Put a 10. Put a 10.
You know what I want to see this one too. I gotta go run to the store and get some popcorn.
What would be your comfortability to debate on? What subject?
I don't mind because at the end of I don't mind.
Are men defective? That's a good topic. Are men defective? So that's the argument he's making.
But like I'm saying, it's got to be based on some level of, and like you're right. Another guy with a PhD,
your research and everything.
Like another guy, another guy with a PhD may agree with him, may disagree with him based on the evidence, based on the research. But the point is, he has researched certain things and he would have identified certain patterns in behavior, certain patterns within the brain, certain things that, so he's just not just making that up.
No, your guys' debate gonna be on domestic violence, the history, and how you feel about that, Mary?
That's fine. That's fine.
And you know, abuse of children. That's gonna be you guys' debate.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Yes, okay.
All right.
Y'all better be ready. Wait, hold on. Let me write this shit down.
We're gonna have to do our research on this one.
Yeah. Oh, this is gonna be good. A knockdown, drag out debate.
Okay, the history of domestic violence.
Now, our debates are very structured. So
that's good. I can't believe I gotta defend men. Y'all know I like going in on them. I can't believe I gotta defend.
Now, when we're talking about the abuse of children, are we talking about the abuse of children?
DV, abuse of children, and the co-conspirators of all that. Y'all better come with y'all research.
That's fair enough.
Okay. When are we doing this?
Ooh, Torch, y'all want to do it next week? I'm on vacation for a week, so.
Yeah, but next week is good. Y'all just gotta let me know the day and time, and it has to be around my work schedule. But
what day good for you?
Maybe Monday, but I don't know if that's either Monday or Thursday night. Monday night or Thursday night.
So you got to give me how many days I have to come up with these questions. It's going to be 5 questions, though.
5 questions.
What are the questions?
You're not going to know until the debate.
Okay. Oh, this is exciting. All right, let's go.
Okay, I gotta do some reading and research this.
All right,
this
I gotta do. Go ahead.
Okay, Angelina, which night sounds good to you? Monday night or Thursday night?
Any one of those. I mean, what time are we talking about? What time at your time? Let me figure it out. My time.
I think 4 o'clock. That would be.
Let's do it. Yeah, you know what? Now that I think about it, well, cause I should be off in time. Let's do it Thursday. Yeah, Monday's fine. I say about.
Let's do it at the time that's convenient for you. We can't do it without you.
Remember,
so
that's what I should be.
Hours to come up with the questions. That's what y'all giving me.
Yeah, because I should be good. I should be free Monday evening. Anytime after 5 o'clock, I'll be free.
Okay, Monday.
East Coast or West Coast?
I'm Eastern time.
Okay, so that would be okay. Got it. So we're
I
looking
would
5
prefer
Eastern time.
Thursday. Can we do Thursday? Give me more time.
Yeah, we could do Thursday if you want. That's
Because
fine
Monday's like just right around the corner.
too. Yeah,
I'll
okay,
blink and
Thursday.
it's
Yeah,
Monday.
that's fine too. Thursday.
Okay, y'all. I'm gonna
Thursday's
be
better.
pumping it up. I'm gonna be pumping it up big. So we're gonna have a big crowd in here.
Okay.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna be making pre-videos and everything.
All right.
Now remember, the debate we is very structured, so it's going to be timed. You got to have
Okay.
five questions. You're going to get chances to rebuttal or confront whatever you hear, and then you're going to get a chance to ask questions, and then the chat is going to be involved as well. The chat is going to ask you guys questions as well.
Okay.
Excellent. I can't wait to set it up.
I wish